Alright guys, it's Toddy again. So this is called the discrimination scale. Right, that's what's known as the discrimination scale. So this is to educate you on where the metals, different metals come in a metal detector. So different machines are going to have different numbers at the end. Some of them only go to like -15, but they'll show you -99 up here or plus 95 up there. Anything on the plus side is a desirable metal, whether it's a musket ball, a thin gold ring, a gold chain, big silver, a Bronze Age axe. Everything you want comes in at this side. Everything you don't want, all the iron rubbish, nails, rubbish like that, ferrous stuff comes in at that side. Alright, so we're only interested in stuff at read plus. Okay, so the smallest thing, just for saying sake, we're talking about the Minelab Manticore, right? Which is similar scale to a lot of the Equinoxes and old Whites machines. It's a similar scale. So when we're looking at coke, which I'll show you when I go over the fines, coke's just like a bit of coal, but fields are littered with it, okay, especially in Scotland. So you could see coke, right, coke will come in roughly on the Manticore 1 to 3, right, so number 1 to 3, but I've had broken, hammered and mineralised ground coming in at 3, okay, so the difference with the Manticore is the meter. It will show you it's coke because it smears, it's got two things, whereas if it didn't have that good meter on it, then I would need to dig it, because I would think, oh, that could be a wee bit of broken hammered, but because how it shows you in the meter on the Manticore, it's very good at telling you, okay, so that's got two forms of identification. So numbers, if we're just going with numbers 1 to 3 is coke, alright, so that would come in roughly about here, okay, just for saying sake, that's number 3. So what's the next thing to come in is going to be very thin tin foil. So tin foil, you could say, well, what's tin foil doing in a field? Well, farmers used to drink milk and throw the lid on the fields. People eating Kit Kats and throwing it in the field. That's how you end up with tin foil in the field. Now tin foil can come in again from 0 up to 5, maybe even a wee bit more, but that's where you're going to get tin foil. So roughly a machine with good discrimination, and that's why it goes to 99. If a machine's got a condensed discrimination, it means the gaps between the numbers get smaller, so your coke and your tin foil could come in the same number. Do you understand what I mean? So when you're getting tin foil, that could be a cut quarter, right? A cut quarter. Now that could come in from 1 to 5 as well, depending on the mineralisation in the ground. So if it was a condensed discrimination, that's what would happen. But generally, when it's an expanded discrimination, the numbers, that cut quarter could come in at 10, 11, which is well away from the coke. Do you understand? Because you don't want to be digging coke because it feels a littered weight and you end up digging it for nothing. If I was on a really good site and I knew that it was hammered there's a chance I would just dig the coke, just in case I missed any wee cut half hammers or a cut quarter. I would maybe just dig it for the sake of it. So as you can see, that's tiny cut quarters, which I'll show you later on when we start getting into discrimination. Cut quarter is tiny, it's a quarter of a hammered coin, so it's very small. Okay, so that's coming in roughly here, this end. So you've got all that to go. So the next thing you're going to start encountering is your hammered coins. I've tested loads and loads on the Manticore, and they come in, so call it a hammy penny, and they come in roughly from 14 all the way up to 45 on the Minelab Manticore, which is probably the same on a lot of machines. So you can see that's nearly half of the discrimination scale, so hammy. So what I've done is, once we get into the tones, I've made that all a one tone on my machine so that I know when it comes in with that tone, there's a good chance it's a hammered coin. So up to 45, Roman coins, Roman silvers, come in from 14 to 65 on the ones I've tested. Alright, so they can get right up to 65 again, which is by here, so that comes in here. So RS, Roman silver. So as you see, it's getting further up because Roman coins are thicker than hammered coins, and they've got more silver content. So that means the more conductive the item is, conductive means the more thicker the metal, it's going further up. You notice that tin foil's thin down here, cut quarters thin down here, hammered coins thin that can come in from there to there. Roman coins are slightly thicker so they can get up to 65. The ones at 65 means that they're really good silver content. A lot of the time they were mixed with other metals, and over the years that other metals corroded over the centuries and left the silver only. So that's the reason they're reading low. The reason that these ones are reading high is the really good silver content, and a lot of the time the ones that's get good silver content were for hammered coins. It was like you find a lot of the London ones, or Bury St Edmunds, or down south, were really good quality silver. They sent all the rubbish up north to Newcastle and all these places, so they get all the debased coins which really weren't that good. And it's the same with this, alright? And in Roman times you did get a lot of forgeries, authentic forgeries that they weren't as quality as silver, they were mixed. Right, so as we start moving up, lead can come in anywhere right up here. That's where lead comes in as well. So 14 right up to 65. So your musket balls, spindle whorls, bits of lead that's ended up squashed in a field, because lead was a common metal and it was used for fixing stuff like the way we use plastic. They would use it to fix pots and plates. They would pour it into it and melt it into it so that it would seal it. So plus windows had a lot of lead in it, so it ended up in the fields. So, and always be wary of lead, because when it goes white it's toxic. So make sure that you're always wearing gloves and wash your hands after you use it. Don't let the kids play with it. Right, as we get higher, usually find your wee silver threepennies, silver sixpence, silver shillings all start coming in for there up to 80 odds. So silver milled coins, so they usually come in higher up. We'll just say for 40 to 70, right? It depends on metal detectors. The XP Deuce, a lot of them come in at 92. So it just depends on the machine, it depends on the frequency you're using, where they come in, alright? So what I'm saying is, they're thicker again, so they're thick milled coins, they're getting higher. Pre-decimal coins, your big pennies, threepenny bits, big cartwheel pennies, Bronze Age axe heads, they're all going to come in up this end. So the bigger, more conductive the metal, the further they go up. So remember that small, when the meter comes in here small, it's going to be something small. When it comes down here near the 0, the further it goes up to the 99. So if you're with your machine and it's coming up 80, you know it's going to be something like a big penny. It could be a silver, it could be a bit of a buckle, something like that. So always remember, the lower the number, the smaller the item. The bigger the number, the larger the item, or the thicker or the better metal, like big silvers or big coppers. Alright. On this side, you can run your machine, which allows you to hear the iron. Again, when we go into other stuff later on, I'll explain about that. That's called tone ID, which we're going to get into. So anything on this side is ferrous. So if you were looking for a bit of ferrous, you can basically ignore that. If somebody asks you to find their drain in their driveway, which you get a lot, they've maybe chipped over it or tarred over it. So somebody maybe asks you to find what's called a Toby underneath their tarmac. You know that's going to be made of ferrous. So if you were detecting up, and then it would come in on that side. So there is occasions where you would like to find iron, or if you were helping out in an archaeological dig, you would search in all metal, so it didn't matter if it came in on this side or this side, you would still want to inform the archaeologist that you'd got a reading and it was worth a dig, and they could put a flag or something in it. So that's the reasons you would use both sides of the discrimination scale. Okay, so I hope you understand that. It's pretty simple. Everything this side is good, everything this side is what we don't want on the fields. Okay guys, we're kind of getting onto frequencies here, but it's also part of discrimination. A lot of stuff now starts overlapping when we're looking for a metal detector. So we're looking at discrimination, so we need to look at frequencies, because the reason multi-frequency became more popular than the single frequency was because of its ability to basically cancel out the effects of salt water. Salt water and salt wet sand is highly conductive, and for a single frequency machine, if you move from dry sand, which the machine operates perfectly, and you walk onto wet sand, you will notice that the behaviour of the machine starts getting more erratic. It starts detecting stones, underwater pools of water. So I've tried loads of single frequency machines, and compared to multi-frequency machines, it's absolutely night and day. Okay, so that's the reason multi-frequency became so sought after. It was one of the reasons it didn't dig coke, and it was excellent in saltwater beaches. That's why when you go to America and all these places, everybody uses multi-frequency. So why does it do that? Well, I can explain how it does it. So the reason you would want multi-frequency is so that you can get maximum depth on saltwater beaches. You also need a machine that ground balances, so that it can ground balance the salt out, so that you can get maximum depth on saltwater beaches. Okay. When I do my next video, it will be pulse induction, talking about that type of stuff, which I've used for many years on beaches as well on land. But that's advanced detecting. This is basic detecting. I don't want to get too technical, and you'll end up just switching the thing off. Alright, so single frequency over multi-frequency, the reason you choose it is, and I'll draw a wee diagram if you just give me a second. Right, I'll draw a wee diagram. So you've got your discrimination scale, whatever it may be. So that's 0. So it's usually at a metre. Your meters usually come in at 0, and you've got iron. It always lets you see iron, because sometimes you want to find iron, whether you're on, as I said before, an archaeological dig or something. So there's your meter, there's the line, so minus, we'll call it minus 99, up to 0, and from 0, plus 99. Okay, so usually when you ground balance your machine, the ground's away down here somewhere. But with salt water, so salt water actually comes in here on the target scale. So as you can see, it comes in on the positive side and the negative side. Okay, so if we're in all metal and we walk down to the wet sand, because it's starting to move over to this side, the machine's going to detect it as if it's a target. So it starts giving you a signal. Okay, that's how your machine starts going erratic. You've also got big boulders that can come in, negative hot rocks that can start banging in here, positive hot rocks that can start banging in here. Single frequency machines struggle with this. So that's why some manufacturers put the beach mode as a really low kilohertz. But even then you still need to drop your sensitivity and things like that. Multi-frequency is far, far superior, believe you me. So on a single frequency machine you would need to discriminate this out, which means you're basically having to disc out that so as it goes silent, so as you don't hear it, okay, because it's too noisy. So what happens is you're discriminating some of the positive side out, which means you could lose some very thin gold, and that's what you don't want to do. And something, just for saying sake, something that came in here, right here, so just for saying sake, that was number 10. It came in here and it was 2 or 3 inches under the ground. Yep, that's fine, you're going to get it. But if it was something that read 10 and it was at 10 inches under the ground, it maybe read minus 1. So it's went into the minus and you've lost it, because what happens is when something is mineralised ground or salt water and it drops down in depth, the VDI number drops with it, so it can drop down, and that's the same on land, on mineralised ground. A hammered coin could read 20 in the ground at 2 inches, you start dropping it down to deeper and the number changes and it starts going in a lower number, maybe read 2 or 3, so that's just the nature of what happens. So we go to multi-frequency. So minus 99, 0, plus 99. Multi-frequency doesn't even get affected. Honestly, you can run it in all metal and the thing is just pulls along beautifully, especially the old Sovereigns, your, what do you call it, Excalibur 2s, Explorers, E-Tracks. They just purr along beautifully on the beach and they get excellent depth. So you put maybe a 15-inch coil on it, absolutely brilliant. So multi-frequency for finding small stuff on the beach is far, far superior than single frequency. Alright, so I just wanted to add that into the discrimination bit. That'll also come on to the bit I done about frequencies. So multi-frequency on the beach is far superior than single frequency. Alright, so when you're going to choose a machine, think, could I pay an extra £100 and get multi-frequency, and then it opens up all those beaches in the summer when there's no fields because of crops and lambs and all that. So have a wee look at that.